Hello and welcome to a video tutorial on drafting in Digital Diamond Baseball. In this video we're going to create a draft out of the 2008 library, 2008 season. So we're going to go into that library, and the first thing I'm going to do is jump over to the library options. There's a new button here in version 10 for draft options. When you click on that, it shows you the number of players at each position that the computer manager will try to satisfy during the draft. If you add all these numbers up, you get 35. So the total roster size of the draft will be 35. Managers will stop picking when they reach this goal. So this acts as a limit for the number of players that will be drafted, and it also creates a very nice, well-rounded roster. You are free to change these values depending on what you're looking for your draft. I'm going to leave this as is with the 35 rounds, and we'll jump on over to the draft feature. You can get to the draft feature here, and the first step is to hit the new draft button when you're ready to create a draft. And I'm going to try and redo the lineups, the rosters completely for all teams. So this will be a full draft. This means that I'm going to want to combine all duplicate player records. If a player played on more than one team, this will create a single record combining their stats for that season. We're also going to release all players to the free agent pool and activate all free agents. Okay, we're now ready to specify some properties of the draft. Notice here the default number of rounds is 35, and that was actually taken from the draft options. Because we specified we want our roster to be 35, have 35 players, that's the number of rounds that are being picked here as well. You really don't want to go less than this because the computer manager is counting on these 35 rounds. If you wanted to go fewer rounds, you should change the draft options to use fewer players and then come back to this draft. You can certainly do more than 35, but the managers will quit probably once they meet their 35 criteria. It'll probably end at 35 anyway. Okay, so now that we have our 35 rounds for our 35-man rosters, we can then change the order of the draft by moving players up or down, teams up or down. We can also toggle who's going to be the computer picker. So we're going to pick for Atlanta this time through. And you can snake the draft order if you want, which will reverse it every round. All right, looks like we're ready to run. So we'll hit on OK, and it will prepare the draft. Okay, now we're ready to start drafting. One thing you can do in Digital Diamond Baseball is ask the scouts who it would pick, and its first pick is Albert Pujols. Not a bad first pick, especially back in 2008. You don't have to pick that player, obviously, but it gives you some tips. So what we're going to do here is we're going to draft a player, and this is a computer pick. So what we can say is to draft the current pick only, or draft until the next human pick. The other two choices will either draft all the way through to the end of the round, making picks for any human picks, or draft all the way until the draft is over, making picks for human picks. So in this case, I just want to jump ahead to the human pick, so it'll take a couple picks until it gets to my next pick. All right, the first two picks have been made, and sure enough, some good first round picks there. And now it's my turn to make my pick. When that happens, I can just check the scouts here to see what they would do. Looks like they like Lance Berkman. And then I'm going to go to draft player, and since it's my pick, we get a different dialog here. And you can start typing the name of a player, and it will come up with anybody who matches as in the free agent pool. So there's Lance, and I'm going to draft that particular player. And the draft pick has been made, and we're now on to the next computer pick. You can keep going like this as much as you want. If you do want to take a peek at the free agent list and do a little bit of research, you can click on the reports quick link here, which will take you to the reports page. And then you can take a look at free agents based on their positions. For example, maybe I'm looking for a catcher. And then I can click on the free agent list button, and it'll show me just people who can play catchers. And I can sort this all kinds of fun ways, including by WAR, and get an idea of who I might want to draft. And then click on the hammer to go back to the draft page and make my pick. All right, I'm not going to sit here and go through all these rounds with human picks. I'm done. Let's let the computer do the rest of the work for me. To do that, I'm going to check this option, which says draft the entire draft and let the computer make all of the picks. Okay, it's off and running, and we'll be back as soon as this draft is done. Okay, we're back. The draft is over. It looks like we didn't quite get the 35th round done. You can see 34 everybody has picked, but in round 35 there were no picks. And this probably means that a lot of teams were not able to completely fill their roster counts. And that would be because the free agent pool got very thin and they couldn't find what they were looking for. That's okay. They're probably one player short, which is fine. They have plenty of players to make full lineups, and we'll be able to do a full season replay no problem with this draft. Quick comment on the draft in general. We just used the draft to create all new rosters from scratch, but you can also use it to replenish rosters when an event like retiring happens, when players retire and you need to refill those positions. This works really well, especially with the career mode in Digital Diamond Baseball, because in career mode, the players get aged every year and advance to new seasons, and eventually some players start to retire. You can have a rookie free agent pool, fire up the draft. At the end of the season, you can run it, and the computer manager will replace that player who's retired based on what position they need, using those position roster counts that are in the draft options. So this can be used very nicely for replenishing rosters as well. And there's a separate video of that on the career mode video here in the user guide. All right, 2 more tips here on the draft that are important to know. One is that in the middle of the draft, you don't have to finish. You can exit the application and come back the next day, and your draft will be in the same situation, the same state as it was when you left. You don't have to finish it all in one sitting. Second thing is that another useful report, there's another useful report for when you're doing a draft, if you jump over to reports, and that is the draft report. And this shows you all the picks that have been made throughout the rounds. So this is really handy. You can see this in the draft page too, but this gives you all the picks for each round in a nice sortable, filterable, like you could filter this just for Arizona, for example. And now we just have Arizona teams. So this is a great report you can use to see who's been picked already as well. You can even search for a particular player if you want. And then jump back to the draft when you're ready to make your pick. All right, that's it for drafting. It's a great tool. It makes for a lot of fun creating some really interesting custom libraries. Enjoy it. Cheers.